All right. Make sure it comes up the right way.
Did we start? Oh.
Yeah, if you want.
No, it's fine.
Good.
Hi, I'm Caitlin. This is Mallory, Aspen, Christina, and Becca. And today we're going to talk about the fundamentals of team development, which is created by Dr. Tuckman, which we've discussed earlier in this semester. Now, the biggest surprise to me coming to Rowan is all the group projects that we have to do in the business building. Right. Raise your hand if you've ever felt any of these emotions when your teacher announced that there's going to be a group project. Yeah, I know all of you feel that way. Now, this is a very frustrating process because most of the time what we're stressed about is the people that we're working with. So most of the time we're rating people on, are they going to be a good writer? Are they going to keep up with all the work that they're doing? Are they going to be a good team player? Why do they look like that? Why do they smell like that? And we tend to create these first impressions that are ultimately unfair to the people across from us, but that is not necessarily our fault. Now, don't lie to me. This is what every team looks like at the beginning of a project. We all seem like we're perfect human beings without any imperfections. We're smiling. We have such a positive attitude, and we think we're going to get an A on this paper. Well, that's not necessarily true, and we all know that because nobody is perfect. And this is known as the forming stage. The forming stage is known to be the stage that we all come together and get to know the people. It's not necessarily about what the work we're going to accomplish, but how we form together as a team. Now, usually there's so many different types of personalities, right? But when it comes to group projects, there's I'd say about 3 different personalities that I like to consider. There's the overachievers that want to get things done right now, right away, and they have everything done before you even know it. Then there's the people that don't want to do anything, right? We're like, oh, I got senioritis. I don't want to do anything on this paper. And then there's always the people that want to get work done, but they're kind of shy and they don't know what to do. Now, first impressions are so important during the forming stage. We overanalyze everything that everyone does. And we do that in life, and we do it in group projects, and you're going to do it in your professional career. This is a psychological thing that we all tend to do. So, as I like to say before you dive deep into a project, you're going to dip your toes in the water. You're going to get to know the type of task that you have at hand. You're going to know the people that you work with, and you want to make sure that you test the waters to make sure that you are going to have a successful project at the end of the day. So you're going to create a clear path for your project that is going to work for your team. Now, for every different situation that you're going to work with, there's not going to be one necessarily clear path for every project that's going to make you successful and everything's going to work out, because there's different types of people. So what you're going to do at the end of the day is create a leader for the project that is going to point you in the right direction. They're going to be the people that help you keep to your deadlines, that reach your goals, and everything that you want to accomplish during the project. They want to make sure that the project is getting done on time and everything that comes with a project at the end of the day. So there are ways to ease this process. The next phase we're going to talk about is the storming phase, but there's ways in the forming stage that you can ease the process by getting to know your team members, knowing your skills, creating a timeline, and knowing some rules, and putting together individual roles. So when you get to know the people in your group, I'm not talking about you want to know if they have a 4.0 or a 3.0. You want to get to know them as people. People is so important in the HR field, as we know. We want to get to know them as individuals and really relate to them so we can get to know the personality types of each individual. And that is important so we know how to work with each team and take it into the future. Then you want to discuss skills. I like to say that you have to be very open and honest on what you excel at and what you don't excel at. Like, for instance, I'm a really good writer and public speaker, but when it comes to math and finances, I'm like, So you might not want to put me in data analytics. After you figure out each other's skills, you want to create a goal. What do you want to accomplish in this goal? What tasks do you need to accomplish to create a successful product? This is so important during the forming phase because you want to make sure that everyone has a clear understanding on what the goal actually is. After you decide what the goal is, you're going to create a timeline. I think this is the most important step in any project. A timeline is something that you can look back on You can always know if you're on task, on time, on everything, and it keeps your project organized, and it'll help your forming stage keep on track and keep on trucking to more of a successful thing. So, as exaggerated as this sounds, create rules for your group. Create rules on, like, if someone doesn't keep up with their end of the bargain, who do you contact? Who are we going to put responsibilities on? So, for instance, you're working in a group project. No one's pulling on their work. Who do you contact? The teacher, most likely, most of the time. After you distinguish all these 4 steps, you're going to assign roles. Assigning roles is finally the time that you dip your toes into the project. You want to put people in different sections to make sure that everyone has a clear idea of what they're doing, and it will be carried out through the entire project. These steps are so crucial during the forming phase, and it will help you make your way to success at the end of the day. And you want to make sure that you can communicate well, that the focus is there for your goal, and that the preparation time is enough for you to be successful. Now, I said this in the beginning, the forming phase is so much more than the work that you're doing and the goal that's at hand. It's about the people that you're working with and making sure that you form together, like building a puzzle. You want to build outsides and create sections to make a clear, beautiful picture. So next time you want to dive deep, make sure that you dip your toes into the water, because you want to make sure that your team is going to be as successful as it wants to be. You want to make sure that the skills and individual roles are clear and the goal is always in mind. So thank you for listening to my presentation regarding the forming stage, and I'm handing it off to Becca.
Okay, hey guys, I'm Becca, and I'm going to be continuing with Tuckman's teamwork model, moving into the second phase of storming. And the main purpose of storming is to increase clarity of the goal that the team is currently working towards. So oftentimes, decisions do not come easy within groups and teams of people. This can include decisions about certain roles and positions, or decisions regarding the common goal. This can lead to arguments within the team and be a roadblock for any future success. So during this stage, team members may form opinions and question each other's character and integrity. Storming usually starts when there's a conflict between members' natural work styles. Once a leader is chosen for the team, his and her actions and decisions may also be questioned by the other team members. Choosing a member to lead the team may be difficult and lead to arguments. A struggle to hold a leadership position may hold the entire team back from moving towards their goal. It's important for team members to realize that every role is important in achieving the goal, and every member of the team is needed for the process to run smoothly. So as the expedition grows harder, team members may continue to question the authority. Members might push against the boundaries of what was once established previously in the forming stage. This can send the team backwards and make it even harder to find their way out of this storming phase. There are a few steps that can be followed to resolve these conflicts between team members. First, the team should take a step back and give everyone time to analyze the possible problems and prepare for a discussion about solutions. Next, the team must confront the situation and allow all sides to participate in the discussion. Everyone must sit back and listen actively and empathetically. Here, you should capture the situation, including the issues, emotions, facts, and interests of each member. This is where an open environment is created and where options and solutions are explored by the whole team. Now it's time to assess and analyze. Standards must be met for all parties of the team and mutually agreed upon. A solution should be on the table at this point, but does not have to be set in stone. Multiple solutions may be presented at this time, and then further discussion can help choose the correct one for the situation. Now it's finally time to reach a final outcome. This outcome should be as close to a win-win for the entire team as possible. However, some groups may need to take a little more time or have a facilitator come in to help the team join and grow as one. At the conclusion of the negotiation process, the team has ideally reached an agreement regarding solutions to each of their problems. Team members must leave the session with a commitment to implement the plans that were just agreed upon and continue to grow and build relationships with one another. Unfortunately, success is not always guaranteed, but failure cannot be an option or the team will fall apart and never meet their goal. This can result in a low grade in a school team project or consequences and possible termination in the workplace. Sometimes the goal feels impossible to reach when the team refuses to work together and allows differences to get in the way. Members may feel overwhelmed by the obstacles and give up. However, if one member decides to give up, this will affect the whole team in a negative way. Sometimes third-party involvement is necessary for the team to move on past the storming phase. This can include involving a facilitator or mediator. Negotiation may also be necessary to move past this stage. Lastly, compromising may also be needed. Facilitation is used to improve the flow of information in a meeting between parties in a dispute. The facilitator focuses on the process involved in resolving the matter. This could be someone from outside of the company or just someone in a different department if this is a conflict in the workplace. Generally, the facilitator works with all team members at once in the meeting. They must wear many hats to be able to view all sides of the argument. They must be good listeners and communicators. However, you should not use a facilitator if the parties are highly distrustful of each other or emotions are tense. Negotiation may also be necessary for a team to work through the storming phase. Negotiation is back and forth communication designed to reach an agreement when both parties have both shared and different interests. When negotiating, be sure to look at the interests and explore options together as a team. Unfortunately, even after trying to find a common ground, sometimes people must compromise and give something up in order to find a solution. If a team wants to move on towards its goal, some people may not be able to have everything their way and they must compromise with each other. Personally, I've been a part of a team that did not make it past the storming phase, and it's very frustrating. None of the team members would put any effort into the project, and I was left with the whole thing to myself. Trying to meet up and sit down to set a plan was almost impossible, and everyone's opinions were different. Nobody was willing to compromise, and unfortunately, we ended up with a bad grade. However, for this presentation, this team had an easy time completing our goal, and the storming phase was quick and stress-free. The first thing we did was create an outline, and then we chose our topics and assigned each person a task to have done by a certain time. If a team is able to look past their differences and work together, they will be able to reach their goal and move on to the next step. Remember, compromises may be required in order to enable this progress and continue towards your goal. Thank you, and Christina.
Hello, everyone. My name is Christina, and I will be talking about the third stage, which is norming in the team development process. As Becca talked about storming can sometimes overlap with norming. And during this stage, teams begin to establish goals, agree on team objectives, develop cohesion, as well as form team mental models. How many of you guys heard of teamwork makes the dream work? Whether it's group work or working on a sports team, a team is a group of people who work together to achieve a common goal. And teamwork is the ability to work together towards a common vision. When it comes to teams, you have to learn how to resolve conflicts and interpersonal differences. You have to begin to accept others as they are, as well as make an effort to kind of come to a common agreement and to move on. And cliques are also dissolved. During this time, conflicts may arise, but it's easier to handle during this stage. Team cohesion is also known as unity. Team cohesion is a degree of attraction that people feel towards a team, as well as their motivation to remain members. Cohesion is also promoted amongst each group member, And when it's developed, team performance began to increase. We all know that communication is key, and communication is the first level of teamwork, and it's also the foundation of the teamwork that your team can be built upon. You have the ability to communicate and have open communication and discussions with your team members, as well as address different ways of effective communication. We all know trust is number one. You have to give trust in order to get trust. And working within a team, you begin to enter a comfort zone, and you must develop even more trust and respect for one another. When you support and trust each other, you begin to start better working relationships within your team. You also begin to become confident when it comes to asking for help, and you also learn to cooperate and help one another. A team becomes more flexible and interdependent on each other, and during this time, you're able to actively seek out input and assistance from other team members. Also, during this phase, you begin to identify and understand and appreciate your team member strengths. And with this, the process and the workflow becomes stronger and much more reinforced.
It just.
I'm sorry.
No, about that.
It says we're stuck.
That computer may have gone to sleep and it turned off its Bluetooth.
This was changing the whole time, but the trust was still on there. I don't know.
Okay. This is the Bluetooth. Can you see the 204A?
Yeah, it says I'm connected.
There you go.
We're good?
There you go.
Sorry about that, girl.
And that does occasionally, and it will happen in real presentations as well. So I'm glad it happened here, so you all can think about what you would have done if you were Chrissy. Or her group.
Teamwork. Okay, so again, strength. You begin to identify and understand and appreciate each other's strengths, and it allows for a better process and workflow, and it becomes a lot stronger and reinforced. And your team strength also helps to build productivity within the team. You also get to know the strengths between your team members, so different tasks can be assigned to that team member based off their strength. You also engage in more complex levels of problem solving as well as decision making, and you also acknowledge each other's talent, skills, and experience. You also develop data flow between team members, which is a major task function during this phase. We all know about constructive criticism, and you have to be able to offer and accept constructive criticism. Feedback is very vital, and feedback helps to keep the team focused. It helps to keep the team on track as well as enthused about what they're trying to accomplish. During this time, the leaders are less directive and they become less involved with the team. They allow the team to take on more of a responsibility and work more independently. And the leader becomes more of a facilitator rather than a leader. However, on occasions, they can step in at any time to push the team along. When I think of empowerment, I think of the Power Rangers. The team becomes more empowered as they begin to develop as a team, and they also take on a greater level of responsibility towards their goals. The team have a better, greater self-direction, and they begin to, again, work more effectively. During this time, progression is made even more, and the tasks are being completed within certain periods of time. Deadlines are being set, as well as the deadlines are being met towards their work-related goals. Also, the team begins to develop and move more gradually towards their goal. Finally, and towards the end of norming, the teams are accomplishing their goals. They may start off as small goals, but as the team begins to develop and begin to bond and trust each other even more, that will eventually lead to them accomplishing much bigger goals. Just a little story about myself. When I think of teamwork, I think of the military. Teamwork is the most important lesson you will learn when you're in the military. Why? Because when you're either in war or, in my case, I didn't go to war, but I was in boot camp, I had to rely on my team members, like they were my lifeline and vice versa. Being in the military, we did everything together. I lived with 40 women in one big room like this. We had to eat together, we had to shower together, we We went to school together, we marched together, we did everything together. So when it comes to teamwork, you have to learn trust, conflict resolution, and most importantly, again, communication. We had to learn to talk to each other, again, because I had to put my life in their hands and vice versa. I had to learn to trust them and they had to learn to trust me. And
Is that your actual group?
no,
No, I didn't think so.
It was
I
a
didn't
long
see you
time
in there.
ago. And because it was like so many of us, we came with different personalities, attitudes. So we had to learn to communicate and learn how to resolve conflict. Our goal was to come in together and leave together. So we learned that team dynamics was needed for us to succeed. And without teamwork, we could not operate effectively. So in the end, our goal was to graduate, or whether it's, being in war, your goal is to go in with your team and leave with your team. So we had to work together to accomplish our mission. And being in boot camp, our mission was to graduate, and which we accomplished. So next up, we will have Aspen, and Aspen will be talking about the fourth phase, and that is performing.
All right, well, my name is Aspen, and I'm going to talk to you about the performing stage of team development. It's really just important to keep in mind that each stage of team development is crucial, and they're all necessary for their team to become high functioning. They're all a vital part for a high functioning team, and if you basically get here, then you're on your route to success. So in the performing stage, the team members are confident, they're motivated, and they're familiar enough with each other to get the job done, and they don't really need the help of any supervision, and they're all striving towards the same goal, and to do it very quickly and efficiently. So in this stage, the team is performing at peak efficiency. They really need little to no oversight from their supervisors. And it's really easy to be a part of a team at this point, and of course problems still come up, but they have created problem-solving strategies to fix those problems and come up with a solution. It's not an easy road to get to the performing stage. A lot of people don't make it because they can't overcome their own egos or conflicts that they have with other people. And it's unfortunate, but a lot of us can probably relate to something like that, and they just can't get along and work together to achieve their success. Consistency really is key in this stage. Leaders can do a lot to help their team achieve success. If they ask their team to have something turned in by a deadline, it's important to just check in with them and make sure that everything's being done, and to keep the momentum going, to keep time management. So another thing managers can do is have check-ins and set reminders for their team to meet with one another, which can either be in person, through a chat, or an email. But it's important to not talk to them too much because they can waste time and get distracted. Leaders can also encourage their team members to set a schedule where they have large blocks of time with really little to no interruptions. This way they can have a clear mind of what they're doing, because in today's world we have our phones always, and there's so many interruptions, and it's just really hard to stay focused, and it's easy to become derailed. Leaders can also do a lot for themselves. They can have calendar events and reminders for them to check in with their team members and just make sure everybody's on the same page. And with the calendar check-ins, it's easy to just make sure that all their things that they need to do are just in the back of their mind. Tools are also really beneficial for teams and achieving their success. They can be something like websites, new software, or different applications. They really make it easy and quick and efficient for a team to reach their goal and their needs. And when leaders or managers are deciding what tools they want to use, it's important to choose something that really doesn't need hours of training and something that just needs basic functions to get the job done. It's really important for a manager to let the team work with the tools to make sure that it fits their schedule and that it fits their needs. So I'm sure we can all think of a time where we're comfortable with our software and what we're doing at work or school, and the boss tells us that we have new changes that need to happen, and I personally hate change, so it takes me a lot of time to be comfortable with it, but it's just something that we need to do. Something that is beneficial is a lot of the tools and software have free trials, which is good because it allows everyone to have the freedom to really learn as much as possible before committing to the tool. And it helps the company save money because then they can test the product out and they don't have to spend the money on something that might not work for the team and what fits their needs. Again, leaders can really only do so much. It really is a team effort. If everyone's not on the same page or willing to work together to overcome their obstacles, they're not going to cross the finish line. Conflict is really common within teams and groups, but it's just important to remain respectful and try to find a resolution. We all have the same goal in mind, so it's just important to remember what your goals were when you first started out and try to overcome any conflicts that you have with your team members. Decision-making can also stand in the way of a team reaching their goal. There's a lot of voices that need to be heard, so it can really take hours of deliberation. So something that a team and a leader can do ahead of time is assign roles. That way everybody knows their place, and then you can even designate someone specifically to come up with the final decision if a decision can't be met. Another thing that can hold up a team is someone that is not pulling their weight. So I'm sure with all the group projects that we have here at Rowan, we can all relate to someone that, you know, is kind of a slacker. So the last thing I want to talk about is norms. Norms really are helpful to a group. They basically set standards, behavior, attitudes, and the performance of the team members. All team members are really expected to follow norms, and they come from just everyone being confident and cohesive with one another. And if everyone does follow these norms, they are effective. So basically, if you have a high level of cohesiveness with a high level of performance norms, it results in high productivity, which in turn has a high functioning team. So if you reach the performing stage, you basically did it. The team really has a level of understanding and commitment to the final goal. They respect one another, and they overcome all the struggles that they had, and they reach their goal. So I'd like to just end with a quote from Patty McCord. She was the former chief talent officer at Netflix, and this is basically just how she described high-functioning teams. And now we have Mallory.
All right, hi everyone. My name is Mallory. I'm going over the fifth and final stage of Tuckman's team development model, which is the adjourning stage, or some people
Mallory.
refer to it.
Drake.
Yes.
Those are two duck names.
I've gotten that before, yeah.
Sorry, go right ahead.
Okay, yes. So anyway.
Just lightened the mood a little bit.
Well, yeah, so we've already discussed the first 4 stages of Tuckman's team development model. We had forming, storming, norming, and performing. So with those already discussed, let's get into the adjourning stage. So a fun fact about this stage is that it wasn't actually a part of the team development model originally. It took Tuckman 12 years to realize that something was missing from his model. So with that being said, he put together this 5th stage to really help define what happens after the project is over. So he realized a stage needed to be added because even though the project is over, the time after the project has a major significance on the team members individually. The word adjourning actually means to break off, and that's what this stage is all about. The team members separate from one another. Their one common goal is over. All their hard work is done and over with. And so for this stage, it's also referred to as a mourning stage because the time you take to separate from your group members can be hard for some. So if you gotten close to your team members, you may feel sad that you're no longer working with them anymore because you're not sharing a common purpose or goal anymore. There could be scheduling, and getting together was your only time to see them. So I know for myself personally, I'm really going to miss working with you guys. My team, we were good from the day one, and it was really nice to work with them. And really sorry, you guys probably didn't notice
No
up there. So yeah, for me, it's going to be more of a morning stage. I'm going to miss them. So with this stage, after you separate from your group members, it really becomes a time of reflection. So you're really evaluating how you did yourself and how your team did as a whole. And you're evaluating the first 4 stages of Tuckman's team development model. So for this stage, it's going to vary from person to person. Everyone is going to evaluate themselves and their team differently, depending on the experience they had. It can be a short time of reflection, a long time of reflection, but it is different for everyone. So most students and most of you have probably been through the adjourning stage and may not have realized, because for most group projects, when they're over, professors assign evaluation of yourself or your team. So I know after this presentation is over, my group members will write our personal eval that was assigned to us for this class, and we're going to take the time to evaluate our own performance for the first 4 stages of Tuckman's team development model. And I think it's really important to highlight that this stage is different from all the others, and it is set apart because it does not have any kind of time frame. Each individual will spend how much time they want to reflecting upon their performance. So just to close out this presentation, I just want to do a recap of all the stages that were addressed today and just go over them in short detail. So first, we had Caitlin. She did a really good job of going over the forming stage. And this stage is all about the team coming together, maybe for the very first time. You may not know each other, and you're figuring out maybe what roles people are going to play. And all you really know is what your goal is going to be, what your final project may come to be. You're all sharing one goal. Next, we had Becca explain the storming stage. So this stage is very crucial to the success of the team, because if you cannot overcome this stage and the obstacles that get in your way, you will not be able to go on to the 3rd stage, which is norming. Christina went over this stage, and what this stage does is that the team members are finally all in agreement. They've gone through the obstacles and the hard times that come with being in a group project. They're getting they're putting all their hard work together to be able to present their project and go over their project. Which brings us to the performing stage, which Aston went over. So in this stage, all team members are united, they come together, they put all their hard work out there, they deliver their project or their assignment, and this declares that the project is over when the stage is complete. Which brings us to the adjourning stage once again. So this stage, the project is over, the team members may be celebrating that, they don't have to work on this project anymore. And now they're able to separate from their team members and reflect upon their own work individually and the team's work as well. But for some, it can be more of a morning stage, depending on if you're going to miss your team members who had a really great group. And it has no time frame on when this stage ends. It's up to the individual. So that was all 5 stages of Tuckman's team development model. We had forming, storming, norming, performing, and the adjourning/morning stage. These stages are very crucial for the success of a team when working in a group project, and you need to go through each stage in order to succeed.
So thank you all for your attention today and for listening, and we hope you learned something.
No.
Just me.
My mouth is so dry.
Wait.
Oh.
I was there.